So what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Ray. I'm Ray. I'm the host of this show. If you have a question for me, please leave it down below in the comments of this video, and I'll be sure to square you away for a future video. Now that that's all out of the way, thank you so much again. Why did I already? I don't know, man. I'm a little Why did I say that? I'm a little jacked up on pre-workout. I'm gonna finish this and then go do some legs, man. So without further ado, let's just jump right into your questions. That was a really cringe intro. I'm sorry. My question for you, Ray, as a guitarist wanting to record myself, where would I begin? As it laptops, amps, plugins, mics, software, etc. I have an idea, just not sure on what specific equipment I should prioritize. I hope that makes sense. Curious to see you elaborate and give us feedback. Thanks. Hey, no problem, man. So that's a bit of a broad question, but I'll try to answer it as specific as possible to give you a couple options. So you obviously need a computer. Now, I've always used Mac stuff. I don't really have much, I don't have any experience with PC or anything like that. I just kind of went with Mac back in the day when I decided, like, hey, I got to pick one, and I just feel like Mac is just a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more ahead of the game than PC. That's just my own personal opinion. So you need that, and then you need a DAW, and, you know, GarageBand is certainly free and comes with your Mac, but if you want to step your game up, you can certainly go with Logic, that's what I use, or Pro Tools, whatever you want to use. And then from there, man, that's where it just really depends on your personal preference. You mentioned mics and then plugins as well. Honestly, if you're just starting out, man, I see no reason why you wouldn't just start out using plugins. Unless you really want to record your personal amp collection and cab, and, you know, use some microphones. That's all well and good, but you know, you got to have some experience to know what you're doing in terms of recording, because if you just put an SM57 up against your speaker cabinet and just play, you know, it's not automatically going to sound great. It might, but more often than not, it won't. And there's a lot of tips and tricks and, you know, little nuances that you have to do. So, getting back to your original question, I certainly see no problem going with like some of the Nerdolo DSP or STL Tones plugins, and then you need an interface with that stuff. Hold on a second. So this thing right here, this is my first interface that I ever had. It's a little 2-input Focusrite USB interface, and you know, my very first 100 videos were done using this thing. The Jim Root interview was done on this thing. The Evan Rubinson interview was done on this thing. You know, just like it doesn't matter whether or not you have one of these guys or, you know, a nice Thunderbolt interface that I've since upgraded with and use that primarily. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. There's no real difference in sound quality. It's all just a matter of just how fast you want to be, latency, I don't know, just how much you want to spend. So I hope that answers all your questions, man. You know, just a computer, Logic or Pro Tools or GarageBand, whatever you want to use, and then just a cheap little interface, man, and that'll certainly get you started. And then if you sincerely have a passion for it and you want to keep going further and further and start create and dive into different things of recording, then I would start to invest in other things and then potentially start to record real amps and stuff like that. Hope that helps. Where would someone start with making guitar/studio related YouTube videos? So this is a nice little segue. Thanks, Wade, for asking that question. Where would somebody start? Be yourself. And that's probably not the answer you want to hear, and it's a little cliche, but I can't stress that enough. And it took me a long time to sorry about that. It took me a long time to realize that. You know, when I first started out, I thought if I just did a bunch of covers and then you know, just put them up on the internet, it would, you know, blow up or whatever. It would gain more traction. But then come to find out, there's 1,000,001 covers of every single band out there, so it's hard to find, you know, an audience for that. So as I did this more and more, I started to realize that, hey, I'm not gonna script my videos. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm gonna leave all my imperfections in when I'm speaking, and I'm gonna, you know, just be myself. And then just, you know, when I do covers or when I do whatever video I want to do, whether it's gear, cover, or original content, I'm just gonna be myself and just do what I want to do and be who I am and not be anybody else. And honestly, that's probably the lamest answer for your question, but it's the realest that I could possibly give. It's just be yourself, dude. Be yourself. If you like, I don't know, if you like Alice in Chains' guitar tones, dude, just go 1 inch wide and 1,000,000 miles deep, meaning stay in a specific lane and go deep, deep, deep dive into that. You know, for example, my own lane is certainly Slipknot, Jim Root, Mick Thompson. Like, let's be real. That's what I'm most passionate about. And that's kind of what I'm known for. And although I do my own stuff with different guitar related content, my own original stuff, Luna Muerta, you know, my own band, if you will, you know, there's little things that I do on my that I'm passionate about, you know, out of my own desire to want to do stuff. But at the end of the day, I've certainly now become the Slipknot guy. I mean, I'm not shying away from that, and I embrace it, and it's fun, it's cool, and it's like, that's my niche, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm passionate about. Even if I wasn't doing YouTube videos, I love that band, and I love that gear from that band. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I'm being myself, and I'm staying in my lane, and knowing who I am, and I'm going a million miles deep into the content that I can personally create. You know what I mean? The internet doesn't really need another shredder. Like, let's be real, man. There's 1,000,001 shredders. The internet doesn't need another drummer, a sick drummer. There's 1,000,000 drummers there. But what the internet can always use is a fresh new face and a fresh new personality. And so at this day and age in 2020, man, if people are starting to create their own channels or create their own whatever, man, it's just better to just be yourself, because there's only one of you and there's 1,000,000 other guitar players. So it's like, what stands out is people's personalities and people's intentions. Like, I'm not the most talented guitar player in the world. I'm probably like the 1,000,001th most talented person on the planet. Probably even more. Probably close to like billions. You know what I mean? You know, it's like, I know my lane. I'm staying in my lane. But I'm trying to be my very best version of myself and be the most genuine and be the most passionate about the stuff that I like to create and the stuff that I like to talk about. And there's only one of me. You know what I mean? So nobody can be myself. So I embrace myself, and I embrace my imperfections when I'm speaking. I embrace my imperfections when I'm playing. I embrace my strengths with when I'm playing or what content I'm showing you guys. Long story short, man, I would just be yourself. Be yourself. Whatever you like, just go for it. 1,000,000 miles an hour. Go all in, 110%. You know, it's going to take time, but people will find you. And it's just all a matter of how hard you want to push and how passionate you are. So I don't know what your end goals are, man, but that's what I would do, man, especially now in 2020. There's 1,000,000 of us out there, but there's only one version of you. So be the best version of yourself, and people will resonate with you. More music theory for metal. Those videos are really helpful. Yes, more music theory for metal will be coming very soon. You know, I'm kind of busy right now as I'm a full-time student again. And, you know, so the content schedule is certainly not taking a back seat, but I do have to prioritize. I'm doing 3 videos a week, which in of itself is extremely challenging, and I love that. But once the summer months come around, I'm going to be focused on doing daily videos, you know, from like, I'm hoping from like May till August, I could put out a video almost every single day. And then music theory for metal, for those of you guys who don't know, is me teaching music theory for metal, literally. You know, those videos always do well and always resonate with people trying to learn theory. And although I do private lessons via Patreon, this is a way for me to just like give broader ideas and broader, you know, strokes to people that are wanting to learn music theory. Be on the lookout for them in like early summer 2020 when my schedule opens up, and then I'll be focusing on doing close to daily videos. All right, hope that helps, man. Have you ever considered starting up or playing in a Slipknot cover band? Absolutely not. Never, ever, ever will I. Well, I shouldn't say never, ever, ever. I mean, you know, if they're paying me billions of dollars, why not, right? You know, all kidding aside, man, I'm not a big fan of cover bands at all. I don't like cover bands. Now, there's a difference between a band or an individual, myself, doing a cover, but I don't like doing cover bands, and I don't consider myself ever being in a cover band, because once you do that, you pigeonhole yourself 1,000,000%, and then you lose all individuality and creativity. I just think cover bands are just not me, man. I like who I am in my own individual playing, and the more and more I do this YouTube thing, and the more creative I become in my crazy head of mine, with a million ideas buzzing around there all the times. Yeah, man, I just would never want to be in a cover band, because it loses all individuality. Now, there's nothing wrong with bands doing cover songs, but just solely cover band, nah, dude, I would never want to do it, man. I just think it's kind of weird and kind of just, I don't know. Be your own, like, do your own band. Be a new band. You know, we don't need a Slipknot cover band, because we have Slipknot, and we always will. Whether or not they stop today or go on for 100 years, whatever, their music will always be there. And so we don't need a cover band, in my opinion. Now, if you want to do it, that's great. But I'm allowed to have an opinion. And yeah, I don't see the need for me being in a cover band. I like my own original stuff. And if I had my own original music playing in front of 100 people, I'd take that over playing somebody else's music every single night for 1,000,000 people. That's just my own personal preference. As a prospective metal musician and YouTuber, YouTuber, what advice can you give someone like me who has been learning on their own for almost 3 years and is coming to a bunch of walls as a musician? I was in your situation not too long ago. I would recommend you finding like a mentor or a teacher, man. However you find that is up to you. But, just right off the bat, I would say, like, how much music theory do you know? I'm willing to bet, since you're doing it on your own, you probably have limited music theory, and that's okay. But if you do have a lot of music theory, that's great as well. But, there's always more to learn. And there's a lot better people than myself doing it. And there's a million different great musicians and teachers out there. So what I'm trying to get at is just like find a mentor, find a teacher, find somebody that's been doing it forever, find somebody that's knee deep in the recording game or band game or YouTube game, whatever it is. Pick their brains, man, and see what they're doing and see what they have to offer, because you can always learn from somebody. And then just for me, just asking questions like you, I'd be like, how well do you have the fretboard memorized? Do you know your keys? Do you know your chords of your keys, the chord qualities? Do you know your modal shapes? Do you know how to apply your modal shapes and stuff like that? Because once you have like modes down, and once you have chords down, and once you have chord qualities down, that's literally all of music theory, and then it's up to you to be creative. So yeah, I would just ask yourself those questions, and if you have all those questions answered as yes, then I would just look for a teacher. And if no, then I would just either study on your own, or again, just look for a teacher, man. Look for a mentor. I hope that helps, man. Well, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, man. I hope I gave some insight on what I believe on certain topics, man. And again, if you have a question for me, leave it down below in the comments of this video, and I'll be sure to answer it in a future video. I love you guys so much. Stay metal. A huge shout out to all my patrons and everybody watching at home. I am out of here, and I will see you guys next time. Later.